Welcome to Roundabout Oxford, a podcast from the University of Mississippi Libraries.
In this episode of Roundabout Oxford, it's all about the graduate student, as our team interviews a pair of postgrads about their experiences at the University of Mississippi. So whether you're striving for still higher education or just MBA curious, sit back and have a listen.
So let's start?
Ready?
Okay. This is Carmen Sánchez Garcia.
And I'm Brian Corrigan, and we're here today with Bruce Park. Bruce, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So as y'all already know, my name is Bruce. I am a graduate student in the Master of Arts in Higher Education program here at Ole Miss. I'm also getting my certificate in Intercollegiate Athletics Administration, so this certificate will allow me to work in college athletics, in their administration department, such things like that. I'm also in the Alpha Kappa Psi business fraternity here. I've recently been elected as Vice President of Professional Development. I'm originally from Chicago, well, technically the suburbs, but I just say Chicago. A lot of people hate me for it because I'm not actually from the city. If you're from like Boston or New York, you'd get that feel. I grew up there, I was born there, and I grew up there my whole entire life. I did my undergrad at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, a very big school, one of the top schools for computer science. The only unfortunate thing is outside of campus and outside of the city, it's just cornfields. Barely nothing at all. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to move down to the South is, in the South there's at least something more vibrant, like the nature, greenery. Also, people are just nicer here. I mean, people are, of course there's nice people everywhere, but you know, you have that Southern hospitality feel down in the South. I was thinking about a lot of different schools. However, Ole Miss, when it came to my program, I felt like it was a good program, but at the same time, you have that tight-knit community. You have that feel. Other schools, as much as, you know, I'm not trying to put them down, they're great programs, but schools are so big, just like my undergrad, and I didn't feel a lot of connections with other people. But I want to be in a community where, you know, I'm able to see friendly faces everywhere. If I'm walking down, people would say hi to you, and that's kind of like a community I wanted to be in when I was getting my master's degree. And so that's the reason why I came to the South. And of course, the beautiful weather here. I know in February it can be a little erratic in Mississippi, but in the north where I'm from, sometimes it snows. It's like in its 20s, 30s.
Tell us about your job here at the library.
So as a graduate assistant at the Research and Instruction Department, every fall semester I would teach a course. It's called EDH 105, and these freshman students, and sometimes they're transfers, but that's a different course, they learn a lot of different things. I only teach them the library resource aspect of it. So I would teach them how to use the library website, how to do loans, how to use the OneSearch feature, how to use a lot of different or find different programs or databases like JSTOR, Google Scholar, all sorts of those databases so that students can use them to find articles for their research papers and such things like that. Apart from teaching the courses, usually as the semester keeps going, it starts to get quieter and quieter, less courses because most students are already all done with them. And then in the spring semester right now, I'm mostly just on chat. So if you go on the library website, there's a feature where you can kind of type down like their questions. So this is especially useful for students who don't want to call or don't want to physically come to the library. They can just use this. You don't have to look at them. You don't have to actually, you know, be in person with them. And so I'm one of those people who are just typing down, answering questions. Sometimes we get very silly questions like, where's the bathroom? Or the bathroom thing clogged. But of course, you know, as my job, I have to answer every single question. And so I would answer them. Sometimes I would get a lot more complex questions, like somebody's looking for a specific article. And in those cases, I have to get really deep into it because I have to look for one database. If I can't find it, I have to look for another database. I have to go all around the library website and different resources, but eventually I solve those questions for them. So yeah.
What is the secret to success in college?
Yeah, that is a great question. I would say that the secret to success is to make a lot of connections with different people. And this isn't just with other students. This is students who are like older than you in different grades than you. This is with your advisor, your professors. And I feel like making connections with your professors are definitely an important thing, because when you're getting a job or an internship or going to grad school, they're going to ask for references. And a lot of students, they don't have that meaningful connection where, you know, they're able to ask their professor, like, hey, I really loved your class, I liked you as a professor, but you haven't really communicated with them, so they don't really know who you are, especially when you're in those large lecture halls with probably saying like 50, 60, even bigger schools would be over 100 students. And so I believe that making those connections would really be beneficial, not just for you to, you know, go on in your future career or grad school or whatever, but also just to make friends and meet new people, because that's what college is about. It's about meeting new people, not about being crammed in a class, looking down at your worksheets and just constantly just doing work all day. So yeah, that's that. I would also say probably organization and keeping everything planned. I recommend students when I'm working with them to have some sort of planner. I use Google Calendar. Melissa, she sends me all of the necessary working hours that I have, so I'm able to follow along, but I add other stuff like my courses, my involvements, my practicum at the Career Center, so that every time I know what I'm doing. If I wake up and I'm like, oh, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do this day, just go on my phone, you can go on your planner, see what you have to do.
As a graduate student, what do you think is the biggest challenge in college?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest challenge, well, one of the biggest challenges would have to be imposter syndrome. I would talk about this with my supervisors and my professors, but this is something that I personally have, and I don't like it that I do have it. And I'm trying to get, you know, try to fix it, try to resolve it, but I would say it's imposter syndrome because there's a lot of students who are really good in their own ways. They have their own unique skills, their own unique aspects about themselves, but they constantly tell themselves, no, I'm not good enough. I have to do better, right? And they would just, you know, put the blame on themselves. They would hit themselves for it, you know. So, and this is something that I have where during my undergrad, I would do a lot of stuff. I would work in a lot of different places, have a lot of different internships, but I tried to push myself further to the point where I can't do everything at this one place and one time. And so with a lot of grad students that I know, especially when I've met some international students, because they're coming from a different country, they want to be able to show that, you know, they're here for the right reasons and that they're grateful for being here. And then they try to do so much to the point that you know that personally they're, you know, suffering from it, but they don't want to physically show it, because if they physically show it, then it's not going to look good on others. And I always tell them, like, don't do that to yourself. Like, you're a human being. You know, some international students come here with families, and sometimes they don't make other friends and stuff like that. So don't try to, you know, be so hard on yourself. Try to, you know, kind of chill out. Of course, work is important, school is important, but there's always time where you can do a work-life balance. Yeah. My practicum supervisor, he would do this, and he would also tell me, work during your hours. But when you're outside of your hours, if it's an emergency, you know, of course, you know, try to figure it out. But if it's not an emergency and you're just doing your normal daily tasks, don't do it outside of your working hours, because you got class, you got other involvements, especially a job that you're getting paid for. Try to work when you're getting paid. You know, if you're outside of your jobs, unless if it's a major emergency, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, do your hobbies, you know, play sports or...
Do you follow any Ole Miss sports closely?
Ooh, only football. I love a lot of different sports, only football because, you know, when I came down to the South, you know, especially here with like the Walk of Champions and everything, yeah, with Lane Kiffin and everything, yeah, I mean, football is definitely my number one sport I follow here at Ole Miss. I would also follow a little bit of volleyball, but then I'm starting to get a little bit more into baseball as well.
Do you enjoy tailgating during football season?
Oh, yes. I love tailgating. In my undergrad, we would have tailgating, but it wouldn't be as intense as in Southern schools or SEC schools. When I went to my first tailgate here at the Grove, it was because of my business fraternity. When I was a pledge, they had a tent out. And so I was like, they were like, you know, come out, visit us. And so I went there. At the start, there weren't a lot of people, but later there were more people that were coming in. I saw all of these other tents from different organizations. I saw alumni coming in. I really loved that. I felt like there was like a huge like sense of pride. Because in my undergrad school, football is not as big. And so you might still have like that sense of pride. People are wearing like the huge I for Illinois, but here like everybody's cheering on each other. Everybody's just having fun, you know. And even if like they might not like football, it's just the tailgating and kind of like that spirit that Ole Miss has. And so yeah, I mean, I love tailgating. I love meeting different people. I love all the noise, the excitement that everyone has. The square, definitely really love. I've been to a couple restaurants there. The first one was in Blu-ray. I've been there with my family during moving day. And this was the first time my family or myself have ever even been to Mississippi before. And we loved it so much. The food there was very delicious. The service there was phenomenal. And then I would say City Grocery would be the other restaurant. I've been there only once. It was on a date. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, it didn't work out too well, but I still enjoyed my time there. But I would say like the square and all of the small mom and pop shops and the restaurants, it has like that southern feel to it. Down here, I feel like everyone is just like, even when it comes to the service, it's just exceptional, and everyone's so kind and caring to each other. So yeah, I definitely love the square and the vibe of it.
My name is Carmen Sánchez Garcia, and I'm joined today by Shanshan Duan. Tell me about yourself.
So now I'm doing my PhD in the Department of Modern Languages, and my major is applied linguistics. So hopefully I can be graduate in May.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I'm from China.
Mm-hmm. And why did you come to Ole Miss?
That's a very good question. So when we have the departmental meeting usually at the beginning of each school year, and that was my school year, and because each new student had to introduce themselves, and I kind of mentioned this why I came here. So a couple years back, when I applied my master's, I also applied here, the same, like Department of Modern Languages, but I got rejected. But then, like for PhD, I also applied, but it turned out that Ole Miss, like the department, is the only one that replied to give me the acceptance letter. So that's why I'm here. So I feel like it's kind of meant to be, maybe just the right timing.
So you're working on your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Are you teaching?
I teach Chinese, especially for like those high school students when they are here to do the pre-summer college program, like 4 months in residential program. They're here. So I teach Chinese in the summer. I've been teaching 3 years, including the past summer. But normally during semesters, they assign me as research assistant to help professors about their research work.
Mm-hmm. And what is your thesis about?
Okay, so my thesis is about, I want to know, like for like L1 Chinese speakers of L2 English, like syntactic priming, how they are influenced by, how their output will be influenced by the input they get, and try to analyze from the like psycholinguistics perspectives to know more about the language science. Yes, that's pretty much
interesting. So you are from China. So what do you think are the biggest challenges as an international graduate student at Ole Miss?
I also did my master's in the US, but if I recall that experience, like the very first time to came to US, I found the language barriers will be like stood out the most. And also I guess the reason for me to pursue further education is because I found all you've learned, like through your, like, as a student in China, you learn English, like textbook English.
Yeah.
But when you are put in the environment, you found it's really hard for you to function.
Right.
So that's part also like drives me to want to know more, like how languages are learned, how second languages are learned, and how I can be a great teacher to teach second language.
Right.
So yes, language barriers, I would say. And even for now, I've been here for a couple years. I think I definitely improved my English, but still you're learning like new slang, like the idiomatic expressions from the native speakers, and sometimes can be hard to understand, but you're still learning. So yes.
What do you think do you need to do to succeed in college?
I guess especially now in my supposedly last year of PhD, I feel like time management is really important. So because as just like being students, being independent, so you really have to have a self-discipline to know, like you're your own assistant, like to know what to do at a certain time of each day, so you will be productive. So I feel like time management, I'm still learning, but yes, time management would be the thing I feel it's really can make people success, not even for students, for everyone.
Did you find any type of help at Ole Miss to help you with time management? Did you talk with the professors, with your classmates? It's something that you learn on your own, with your own experiences?
I feel like definitely talk with your peers, like your fellow students, and also to ask for suggestions, or just like to ask professors, because I feel like also you should be brave to ask questions, just to not keep yourself isolated, and just like reach out to ask help. That helps. And I think you're not the only one that have the maybe issues with time management or feeling behind in the self-study, but then that can become like kind of motivation as well. You're not alone, but you just try to do like each time like better, like take it baby steps, but you're like trying to progress in yourself. Yeah.
So what do you think, you as a student at Ole Miss, is the best spot to study in campus?
I would say library. And I used to be like a person who wants to find a really like absolute quiet place to study, and that helps me focus. But recently I'm changing to like maybe a little like public area. So that's why I prefer, like personally, I prefer to second floor library, that you like in your vision there are other people are also studying. I guess that also kind of like motivates you that everybody studies, so just put your phone away, study. Maybe that kind of like peer pressure, I feel like that gives me that kind of like motivation, instead of like just sit in some hidden corner by yourself, kind of dark, and then you fell asleep easily, and then you're just like, okay, I can do this later, and then the whole afternoon is gone.
Okay, that's good advice. What do you think is the hardest major on campus?
Well, I feel like maybe you ask different people, they may have different opinions.
Right.
But for me, I would say, because what I learn is like language study, language science. So I would say maybe out of my field, like I would say like maybe like chemistry or pharmacy sounds hard to me. But at the same time, I also admire people who learn that, even it seems hard in my mind. But I also feel like it's quite like challenging, but like also fascinating to some extent, I just feel really cool. What a cool job that you can do chemistry experiment, or like making like pharmacy, So that's, for me, is like hard, but also fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you see a big difference between studying here in an American university and studying in China?
I feel like at university levels would be not that different. because like you're being independent, you need to have like self-disciplines to, get through to survive. So what I should very like in general, maybe kind of the same. You just have to have that qualities to be independent, to know that you have to, prioritize your study. I feel like for that part, it's the same.
So you are almost finishing your studies here at Ole Miss. What do you think are your dearest experiences at Ole Miss?
I like walking on campus. It's just so nice. Like recently, it's fall. Like in the morning, like the temperature kind of drops, but it's really like comfortable. And I don't know. When I was from a very young age, I just like the environment of campus. It's just I feel like it's such a blessing that you can see people walking by with diversity, and also it just give me that full of life vibe and very vibrant. It's just such a blessing. So I would say I like to walk on campus, just see everybody.
And do you go often to the square?
Like for me, like myself, not really, because I feel like this is really depends on the personality you have.
Yeah.
Maybe you're an extrovert, like you really want to hang out with friends. You go out eat a lot. But I guess for me, maybe like my personality is not that, maybe like more like introvert to some point. And also as graduate students, you have to like budget well,
Right.
because you're live on your stipend, right? So that's why I normally don't really like go out eat or the social events a lot.
What's your advice for incoming graduate students, even freshmen?
International students. So like try to push yourself, get out of your comfort zone, to try to meet more new people, to be friends with them, or just like to just know more people, and then maybe that will help you to adapt like even faster in a new environment.
I would say one piece of advice would be to discipline yourself. So what I mean by that is don't be hard on yourself or anything, but there are students who go in, enjoying their time, but then they're partying a little too hard, or they're procrastinating. That is something that I learned during my undergrad that you should never do. Because you're gonna be like, oh no, I'm gonna study the next day, or I'm gonna finish the assignment the next day. And all of a sudden, it's already either the due date or about a day before the due date, right? And then you're gonna have to start, all of the work is gonna start coming towards you, and then you're just gonna start to say like, I can't finish off this. So have fun, go to parties or go to events, meet new people, but when it's time to study or when it's time to do your work or whatever, then don't wait for it and just do it. Me and my friends, we would be like, in our undergrad, would be like, okay, so we're gonna go out somewhere. Let's finish this work first, or let's finish these couple assignments first. And then once we're done, then we're gonna promise ourselves to go out. So we're kind of like giving ourselves an incentive. I would also say to get out of your bubble a little. There are students who are introverted and there are students that are shy. There's nothing wrong with that. I have met a lot of people who, deep down you get to know them and they have great personalities, a lot of great stories to tell. But there are a lot of students who come in, especially international students or first-gen students, and also students like from marginalized communities like LGBTQ+, or from different ethnicities, who either don't feel like they fit in their communities, which is very sad, or those who just don't have the necessarily experience because they don't have family members or friends who have been to college. And so I would say to try to meet new people. I know it might be scary, but there's a lot of different resources that are offered for students. And also a lot of different organizations, a lot of different events on campus, and they're welcoming to all students. So I know that it's difficult, but instead of just staying in your residence hall or in your room, try to get out there more and experience it, because who knows, you might go out to a certain event or you might join a certain club and then meet new people, and then all of a sudden, you have this different person of you, and you're, going out more and you're, truly experiencing the college feel. So yeah, that's my second piece of advice that I would give.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Excellent
Thank you.
advice.
Roundabout Oxford was created by Brian Corrigan, Taylor Fields, Abigail Norris Davidson, Alan Munschauer, Christina Streeter, and Alex Watson. Today's episode was produced by Elizabeth Batt, Brian Corrigan, Carmen Sánchez Garcia, Sarah Catherine Glass, Harley Rogers, and Alex Watson, with musical contributions from Brian Corrigan and Gail Herrera. Thank you for listening to Roundabout Oxford.